can't stop.
All right, it's that time again. Good morning, Insurance Syndicate Group. It's that time. It's September 19th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm your host of another episode of Ask the Experts, where I'm your host, David Williams. My co-host here is Andy Arter, and we have an incredible guest today. This guest is an Allstate agency owner from Little Rock, Arkansas. So her town might be little, but the things she's doing are absolutely massive, off the charts. She opened a scratch agency in 2008, second scratch in 2019, built a $15 million, that's a $15 million book organically. It has 13 team members, 60% of them are remote. And in 2021, the Power Woman of the Year has over 25 awards with Allstate, including Inner Circle, National Conference, honoring Allstate District Growth Council member. She's a CWC coach, and most importantly, she's married and a super mom to two beautiful children coming from a huge sports family. I am proud to welcome my good friend that's going to be dropping some knowledge bombs for us all today, Miss Brooke Brolo. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Amazing intro. You made me sound really, really good. All the accolades. Thank you.
No, my intro had to level up with who you are and what you stand for. So we got a big person on the show. We got to give a big intro for sure.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. We love to be here. And what we do on Ask the Experts, we bring in experts like yourself that are just killing it in life, crushing it in business, so we can teach other people a thing or two to maybe emulate and replicate some of those same results, because I'm a big believer that in life, you can't do big things. You can't do great things alone. And one of the best ways to do it is figuring out who's already doing the things that you're looking to do, because they, in fact, have the roadmap, the compass to get there. What could take you 10 years of trial and error and failure after failure to get there, by having somebody else that's already been to the destination can maybe even cut that down to 10 months. So we're going to dig into it today, going into, I know one of the big things we're going to talk about is people, processes, and how to just build, just game-changing teams like you have. And I want to get into the first question, which is background on your growth journey. Can you actually share what initially inspired you to open your first agency in 2008? And what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced that maybe some of our audience members, they're sitting in the seat that you were sitting in back in 2008? What were those challenges and what you learned from them and how you got through those initial obstacles getting into business?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have been paved with challenges and failure, so I am definitely an expert at that. But what really got me into the business, it wasn't, if you know anything about my backstory, it wasn't my first love. I was going to go to law school. But I had a long story short, a family member passed away with cancer, my stepfather, and they didn't have life insurance because it canceled while they were at MD Anderson in Texas getting him treatment. So he had to sell his business and went through all their retirement. And it was awful. And when he passed away, my mom had to start completely over, sold her home, the only equity she had. And I was like, well, where is the life insurance? And, no one picked up the phone and called them and was like, make this payment. Right.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like that was the door that opened for me. It closed on David, my stepdad, and opened the door for me to go into insurance. Cause I always knew I wanted to own my own business and I wanted to help people. I just thought I would be doing it from a legal standpoint, instead of an insurance standpoint. But that's where my passion and my drive came from. I'd never done insurance. I wasn't going to school for that. And then all of a sudden it was literally like an epiphany. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Who do I know that are agents? Who can I talk to? And so I started talking to State Farm. I started talking to Allstate, and Allstate gave me a chance with zero experience in selling insurance, zero. I've never owned a business, but I was like, I am determined and I swear I can make this happen. I will work hard. Like I will grind it out. Like I have a passion for this and I'm going to help people. And so that's what got me started.
Love
And
it.
yeah. But when I opened, again, I didn't have any experience. I didn't have a whole lot of money. So I was like,
I was all too familiar.
right. And I was like, I kind of like fibbed on showing the money that I had. I was like, oh, because I'm gonna make this happen. You had to show like a number, and I was like, can I borrow that money and put it back in your account? Whatever. But and then I got in
He
there.
said, show me the money. I'm like, what money?
Right. Like it was a long, long time ago. Now they do it a lot differently, right?
Oh yeah, no, for
I
sure.
was able to like put it back. I like,
Same
okay,
with me.
borrow that mom and like let's go back. But
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna make it happen. And
Love it.
but once I got in there, I was like killing myself, right? I am a high caliber, like laser focused type of person. And when I dive in, I really dive in. But you can only work at that capacity for so long before you hit a brick wall.
Yep. And you're going to get burnt out.
Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I mean, I guess I could do it by myself, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to scale like I wanted to scale and grow alone. So it's like, I've got to find good people. So that's when I was like, okay, I've got to find people that are passionate, that see my drive, that believe in me. I'm going to make these people believe in me, and you help me, I'm going to help you, and we're going to grow, this business. So that's kind of how I started out, and, and said, I'm going to scale my business, but it's going to be through other people like-minded that want to do the same thing. So
no, and I absolutely love that. And I think it's interesting because every single person we have in a show has their own unique story, right? And what I hear from your story was it took you from a place of pain to purpose is what the initial catalyst was that got you to start that agency. And, I think a lot of people, they're out there in life, they're looking for that perfect vehicle. They're looking for that perfect vehicle to get them to their destination. And it's not always what seems to be the perfect vehicle, but it might be the vehicle you least expect that's going to get you to the life of your dreams, that's going to get you to accomplish your dreams, that's going to get you to your purpose. Like me growing up too, I didn't grow up saying, hey, you know what? As a young kid, I want to be an insurance agent one day. Like that was my aspiration and my passion. All right. But out of circumstance, I came from a place of pain, and I was in pain and I had to get out of that place in an effort to build a greater life. Here was this vehicle sitting in front of me where, I met somebody in the insurance industry and my circumstances, and it took me to act exactly where you want to go. And I think once you get into that vehicle, now, once you get your feet beneath you, you can start to dictate, hey, what that looks like, because maybe you even have a passion for helping people. Maybe you have a passion for elevating people, and you can actually take that initial vehicle that started out as insurance, quote unquote, and then turn it into like a mechanism and a machine to go out and change lives. So really, once you're in that vehicle, like now you can change the parts around on it, you can change the appearance around on it, and you can dictate how it operates really at the end of the day to get you to your destination. So I absolutely love that. And I think a follow-up question that I got was, you started your scratch in 2008, but what really kept you going and wanted to keep going to the next level, to all of a sudden wanting to open up another scratch agency and then continue to pursue growth? So you had that initial pain that took you to your purpose, that got, I guess, the engine started, but what just kept you moving on the racetrack, so to speak, and kept you motivated to keep wanting to grow and keep wanting to impact the way that you do?
Sure. I'll be completely honest. Financial freedom. In sales, you can control your income, right? It's one of the things, that's the luxury. That's why people get into it, because they're like, if I work hard, I can do a lot. I can make a lot of money and have that financial freedom. And I can do it doing something that I love and that's good and that helps people, right? So that's what got me started there. And I just was like, okay, well then how can I scale this? How can I scale it? Okay, I got to put in people. I got to put in processes. I got to have accountability. But I got a taste of, oh, wow. Like I don't have to, if I work really hard, I don't have to worry about, not being able to keep the lights on and this and that, and do you know my story about my husband? And, he had a brain tumor about 5 years ago. So he worked, I was fortunate enough, he worked a sales job in orthopedics, and he made a really good income. So it allowed me to like invest everything into my agency. I reinvested and reinvested. But then when he had his brain tumor, we had moved him over to, I was like, he was tired of being in the grind anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you want to come over to, the agency side and we can do this together? And he was like, yes, let's do that. And it was a blessing in disguise that we brought him over. And we did that because, at the time our company didn't want inside buyers. They wanted outside buyers. And I'm like, hey, you know what? You're an outside buyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to get in the city that we wanted to, where we live. But then I was like, okay, now we have one income. Holy crap, right?
Yeah, it makes it real quick.
Right. But it was a blessing that he was there because I knew what I was doing. I had people in place. And when he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, had he still been working at that other job, I don't know what things would have looked like.
Yeah.
Right. It would have been insane because we wouldn't have had health insurance. We wouldn't have had the income that he had there. I wouldn't have been prepared for it. We were already, he had bought a small book. I was getting ready to open another scratch. And so, but overnight, I went from one agency to 3 agencies and a caregiver, and I've got 2 boys. And so it was like, whew. So I was forced to, and that was, I'm like, I'm glad I'm so driven because I was forced to like figure it out, and all the control that I kind of hang on to because, I'm type A personality, we're kind of like that. I was like, okay, I've got to relinquish some of this control because I just don't have the capacity. And I was kind of forced to do that. But then when I saw like these people that I love and trust and that work hard for me are like crushing it, continue to empower them, and that is like led me to more freedom to do other things that I love.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And I think, what I hear there is like, it's your shift in perspective that, hey, things aren't happening to you, but they're happening for you. Because when you hear that story, it may be something it felt like in the moment, something was happening to you that created a shift for change where now your husband's getting into the business, taking action, opening up an agency. But look at it. He took all the right steps and embraced it in a sense where it was happening for him, opening up that agency that prepared for a time that was probably unexpected in both of your lives. But I'm a big believer in that when you kind of lean into faith, you lean into change, and you look at things from a perspective, hey, it's not happening to me, but it's happening for me, that usually things are happening for you for a particular set of reasons, whether they're going to happen in the future or they're happening minutes and moments currently now. And I think that perspective can be completely powerful because I think there's 2 different types of people in life, right? You see, some people, it's always the woe is me. It's always the victim, always negative things that are happening to them. And you see them 2-3 years later. And when they carry that same perspective throughout life, it's like, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to me again. But then you have the other person, right? And I would put you in that category. It's like the person, no matter what they do, they win. No matter what they do, it seems that they're happy, successful, and they're thriving in life. It's almost like the opposite, where everything that they touch, they got the Midas touch, and everything that they touch turns to gold. And I think the difference between those 2 people in life is exactly that. It's perspective,
right?
Like having the right perspective to look at things. I think you can always, there's a reason why there's 2 lenses in an eyeglass, because I think you can close one eye and you look at one thing one way. You can close the other eye and you look at the other things the other way, but then ask yourself, where's the silver lining? And I think if you lean into the silver lining more times than not in life, it's going to really, really serve you the right way. So I absolutely love that story. And one of the things that I heard when you're talking to was building a great team that tied into your financial freedom, but also something even more than financial freedom, like your personal freedom. Because I know when we all start, there's a grind, right? There's a grind that we have to commit to. And a lot of times we're own best employee and we got to wear that hat for a period of time. But then I think the intention of really becoming an entrepreneur is just what you said. It's getting that financial freedom, getting that personal freedom to live by. And you have to create this shift where at some point you transition yourself out from working in the business to working on the business. And I would like to know, what did it look like building a great team around you? Did it allow you to get out of working in the business, but rather working on the business that ultimately achieved that life of personal freedom and financial freedom for you and your family?
Yeah, no, absolutely. like I said, I had a hard time relinquishing a little control because that is my baby. You know, I grew it from nothing and no experience. But when, you know, I hired, and like my service manager has been with me, I've been an agent 16 years. She's been with me 14 of those years. And so I'm like, if I just trust them and empower them and have a process behind it, I can teach and they follow and I hold them accountable. And I'm like, oh, this works. This
Yep.
works. And then they can teach the process. And then I love seeing them be empowered. And now, like, so I meet with we have manager Monday. And so I meet with my leadership team every Monday for big topics because I was in the day to day. And then I was like, okay, she can do this just as good as me. Actually, she does it better because she's spending more time in it. Let her do it. And then, so now I get to focus on like the 10,000 foot view, right? But for a long time, I was doing all the things. And I think you have to wear all the hats and do all the things as a business owner and go through the failures, see what doesn't work, see what works, focus on what works, you know, because you're always going to have obstacles, period. So like you said earlier, like mindset, you can choose to complain about them and whine about them and be out there on Facebook and just griping, or you can say, okay, this is what's in front of me. How am I going to win? What am I going to do? Yep. So I do that with my leadership team, you know, and I still coach them, you know, and I have a coach too. So everything kind of like, you know, goes down, you know, from me to them, it's all a trickle effect. But it's been amazing to watch them transform and become leaders. And, you know, I'll look in when I see there's like a big problem, you know, that they're having, you know, trouble, that's when I'll dive in. And other than that, you know, I'm just helping them. We're monitoring everything. We're talking big strategy and where we need to go and what we're going to do to diversify. And are the processes working? Are the people being held accountable? Like, what do we need to change? Yep. So that's kind of my role now of what I do. And it allows me that freedom to, you know, I'm a boy mom. Like, you know, they got sports and I'm a luxury Uber. Like that's my new job for real. Yeah. But it's really great, you know, having that team. Like if I can tell anyone out there, like if you're thinking, you know, I'm doing it all and, you know, and you're tired or you're just scared, you know, you're probably not doing it at the ability that you could be because you're probably half-assing it because you're tired. Like, let go and watch them, empower them, train them, you know, invest in them, and you will see a huge shift in and after I did that, you know, like, because this was the 5-year mark, you know, my husband had the brain tumor and I was like, please do this. Here are the things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did train you well. And oh my gosh, this is working. And it has just skyrocketed.
You'd be surprised once you release the reins to them, like how far they'll actually take it and how capable that they actually are. If you actually just give them the opportunity to be capable. But sometimes people won't relinquish that and they don't give over that sense of trust. And then your employee feels untrusted and they never want to step up ever. So what do? Is they just come in and do the bare minimum and you continue to have a 100-pound backpack on your back.
Well, and sometimes, you know, and now that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes, I can relinquish control and help people. Sometimes people don't have that person that pushes them or they've never been told, you know, that they can do bigger things. And when I invest in them, you know, in their education, I give them the tools and the resources and I am, you know, backing them. And I'm like, I have your back 100%. Like if you work hard, you can do this and I'm going to be there for it. They get that confidence. Then all of a sudden they become leaders. And then I see them helping other team members. And it just becomes like this big, you know, circle of, you know, like effect of like things getting, you know, bigger and better for everyone. So it really, really is like relinquish the control, trust in your people, teach them the process, hold them accountable, and like watch the magic happen.
And absolutely. And I think, you know, one thing, and I'll let you chime in there, Andy. But I think one thing that, you know, to remember there, one thing I heard was servant leadership. It seems like you're the biggest servant leader in your agency, serving everybody there, empowering them to be the right team that's around them. But I think, another thing that, people really need to wake up and realize too, sometimes in the beginning of your business, you got to get uncomfortable and learn every aspect of your business in order to lead every aspect of your business. Because to do what you did, I know for a fact you had to live in the trenches almost every role so that you could teach that role. And because what I see too often is agents will go out there and they go where it's comfortable. Maybe they didn't come from a sales background. Maybe they didn't come from an XYZ background. So what do? Is they dive into the service rabbit hole. They become their own best in service employee. They start hiring people around them, but there's nobody there to lead them because they're in this zone of comfort. But what I found the best way to do it is get uncomfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, live in every role. You think about it. If you go to work at Amazon tomorrow, if you go to work at Google tomorrow, they're not going to make you the CEO from day one, but you can work your way up to the CEO. And I think it's even more important to operate that way in your own business, that earn the right to be the CEO. And that's what I do as a blueprint in all of my companies. Is even Team Hired, when we started it, I lived as my own best salesperson, because now I understand what are the roadblocks, what are the challenges, how low is low, how high is high in terms of performance. And now I have basically a very intimate understanding of how I can hold you accountable and how I can support you in that role, and then have somebody alongside of me. And my goal always is nobody's ever going to be 100% of Dave Williams. Nobody's ever going to be 100% of Brooke Brolo. And but we can get people to be 60% of us, right? And if we get somebody that's 60% of us, I think that's good enough to have somebody that's like a solid cement, steel pillar foundation into that role, that now you can just coach, manage, go on to the next role, go on to the next role, go on to the next role, until you make your way around the organization and then promote yourself to CEO. Because now you have highly capable, trusted people that are in that role, that worked alongside you, that learn from you, they got the expectations from you, and now are being held accountable by you. And I think that's the recipe that a lot of people skip. And it's like, well, how do you find the people? How do you do it? Well, you're not putting in the work in to first understand the role in your business and then train and develop that person. So eventually you can get out of it, because you're afraid of that work. You're perpetually stuck doing the work that you shouldn't be doing. You don't want to be doing way longer than you should be doing it,
Exactly. I know. I tell my people, I'm like, I will never ask you to do something that I haven't done. Like, and if you haven't done it as a business owner, like, I'm all to hiring your weakness. I am, but you don't know what your weakness is unless you've been in it. So you've got to do all the work to figure it out. And it's another way you can hold them accountable, because if you've done it and you've lived it, good or bad, like, they can't BS you and give you excuses. You know what the obstacles are. You know what they're so, but you have to do it. You have to live it. So as a business owner, wear all the hats, then hire your people, have the process around it. So then now you can exit that role. You still check in on it. But then you can scale to something else. Because now, I can look at the big picture things, work on strategy, work on diversifying leads, like what's working, what's not, where do I want to go this year? How are we going to get there? And I have time to be with my kids and be with my family. And I get to coach other people, because when I started, I was, 16 years ago, there were not very many female agents. And, and there wasn't a ton of help out there. Now there's like, we've got Greg Wiggins coaching. We have so many wonderful things.
Which you're one of the coaches there, and you're amazing. So anybody needs a coach, obviously call you, because you're crushing it. Yeah.
But, it's, you have to like kind of buy your time back. And I'm, sanity has a price, and I'm 1,000% willing to pay for it, because now I can do all of the things that I want to do, and I can do my social media stuff in a different way and scale my business that way. I can coach other clients in their business, and I can help people and just, keep sharing the love and keep growing. So that's
absolutely. And what I hear there too is like great leadership. And I'm a believer that great leadership allows you to lead your ship and be the captain that you're meant to be. Otherwise, you don't have a captain, and it's only a matter of time before you're going to run into that iceberg. So, effective leadership allows you to be the leader of your ship.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Brooke, I've got a question regarding the fact that you've got, like you said, like 60% of your team works remote, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what I'm curious about is, number one, should every agency owner out there be looking at remote hiring? Like, is it something that you believe everyone should participate in, given the value that you found in it? And then number two, like, where do you find that like the roadblocks might exist for somebody? What implementation strategies have you used to make sure that like that strategy stuck for you?
Sure. 1,000%. And here's why. Like I live in Arkansas, right? Not the biggest state, right? I live in one of the biggest cities, but not the biggest state. So my talent pool is this big. When you hire remote, your talent pool expands exponentially, right? There's so many more doors open. But I think what happens, the fear comes in with agents is like, if they're not in my office where I can see them every day and see what they're doing, then how do I know what they're doing? Well, I mean, it's 2024. We have a ton of technology.
Oh,
All you need is the data. Like data is going to tell you everything you need to know. But I know it's scary because you're like, well, how do I do it? How do I start? And we don't get me wrong. When we first started, I was like, all right, well, we won't do that again. Okay, well, we learned on that. Like there were a lot of mishaps, right? And people like, you can get some bad, seeds in there that like, yeah, I'm going to work remote. It's going to be great. And I'm like, you haven't answered the phone in like 2 hours or made a call.
Oh, yeah. That's because they're working like 2, 3 full-time jobs that are
Oh
part-time.
yeah,
jobs,
right.
They're not telling you about it. Or it's like, hey, you know what? We fired the babysitter and nobody was inspecting what they expected. So I've been going a month, 2 months now with watching my kid part-time and then working part-time, and it's working, right? Yeah. So I think it's important to have those mechanisms in place to inspect
1,000%
what you expect. And I guess that'll be the next question is like, what are the most effective ways that you in the new virtual world that you're kind of living in today with so many remote staff to bring that internal, like that culture? Because I think there's something to be said about the in-person aspect and the culture and that camaraderie and that engagement. How do you replicate that in the digital world that we live in today that allows you to be so successful with having a remote team?
Right. Well, because it can be an island on your own, right? You feel like you're just making dials and this and that. So we really try to embody like a culture of collaboration. We have a thread through Zoom. We're on it all of the time. High five, so-and-so. Like we make sure, when we write business or have referrals, or my service team that has a cross sell, we have a program where it sends an email to everyone. So then we're in the chat all day long, and then we have check-ins. So like with technology, we can see our quotes, we can see the calls, we can see the talk time. And if we see something's off, like we just address it, like what's going on. And when you're on a Zoom, and we're not like a Zoom camera all day long, because I feel like that would just be miserable. I know some people need that, and that's cool. That's good for you. It works. But for me, I'm like, I don't need that. The data's going to tell me everything I need. If you're doing 4 quotes and you've talked 30 minutes today and made 40 calls, what did you do with your time? Because you weren't doing you weren't on my time. You were on your time. So we just have a lot of check-ins. We have morning huddles. We have one-to-ones every week to talk about things. We have a team meeting, a service meeting, a sales meeting, because we are a mix. Yep. We have a group me chat, so that if it's like outside of work and we celebrate, outside things too. We have a Team Brolo Facebook page so we can post all of our stuff we don't want anybody else to see, but we really stay engaged, with them. We're always, just, hey, can I jump on a quick Zoom with you? You can tell like they're having a bad day. Like we just get out there and just really try to bring them up positive, find out what it is. How can we help you? What can we do to make your job better? What do you need? We make sure they have everything, like they're just sitting right in an office. We don't skimp on it, anything. We're like, here's your 3 monitors, here's your headset, here's your all the things, because we want to make it as easy as possible for you to do business. So.
No, I love that. Love that. And one of the things you kept saying in there too is different technology. And what I'd be curious is, what is your core tech stack when it comes to, managing your team, giving you all the data, giving you all the numbers, just overall operations? What is the core tech stack, I guess, that you rely on that helps you to thrive in this new digital world we all live in today?
Yeah. So we try to use anything that's going to make us more efficient and that we can automate. Like that's the biggest thing to me. There's so many things you can use. So if you're not, with my company, we use hearsay texting, but for other companies out there, if you can use like something like Zipwit or some, that has a texting, that's going to be something that's going to help them work faster and more efficient. A CRM that inside and out, not just your team, so you can see and know what's going on.
Know how to manage it, use it, inspect it.
Exactly. Like that's how you're going to know what's going on with your team. is having that automation and a cadence. So like I always talk about process, like I am process queen. We have a process for everything, maybe too much, I don't know. But, I make it like super easy. You don't have to worry, like, should I call them back at 2? Should I call them back at 4? Should I call them 2 days from now? Nope. All you have to do is put them on the workflow. And then it tells you exactly, all you have to do is your task and go to the next so that we can be as efficient as possible. So use the technology to your advantage, anything like that that's going to help, get a hold of people better. An email, we do blast emails, to our customer base. We do retention type stuff. So we use all sorts of technology to make sure that, that happens. So.
No, that's great. That's great.
Beautiful.
When it comes to processes and SOPs, you talk a lot about process, like you're the queen of processes. I think, was that always the case, or did you have to learn the hard way the importance of having processes in place? And then what would you tell people that are maybe struggling in that place, right? They're constantly teaching the same things. They're flying by the seat of their pants, and they don't have those documented processes and SOPs that can, rinse, repeat, make everything sustainable in their agency. What would you recommend to them to get started? First how you started, and then how they can get started when it comes to being a master or a queen, quote unquote, of processes and standard operating procedures inside of their business.
Well, I didn't know what I was doing when I got into this business. So yes, there were 0 processes. So I learned the hard way for sure. Because I would say, okay, listen, I need you to write this business. I need you to do these quotes, and this talk time. Okay. And then it was like, why aren't you doing it?
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I didn't. Then they're just kind of like trying to figure it out on their own. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't working. What's my part in this? I can't hold you to a certain standard if I don't give you the tools to help you do that. So the biggest thing when it comes to processes, in my opinion, is talk to your team, because they're the ones that are in the trenches. So we changed our entire, so I'm glad you brought this up. We changed our entire sales process. Well, not entirely, but we tweaked a lot of things last year. But we came to our team and we said, let's all do it together. Let's all take our best practices. Like, you are amazing at getting referrals. We're going to talk about that. We're going to incorporate that. You are amazing at get people that say, no, I don't want your quote, to let you get them a quote. You are amazing on talking coverages. We're going to talk about how, what you say. So we took all of those pieces and my entire team, and then we said, okay, this is our new sales process. And everybody felt like, they had a buy-in because it was a lot of theirs. Yep. And so it has worked. We have seen astronomical growth, and I was like, I wish I would have done this beforehand, because they were my processes and what worked for me, but what works for me doesn't work for everyone. So I've learned that you have a core of what you want to do and your core process and what you want to say, like kind of the bold, and then your team. I don't want them to sound like me. They're not going to sound like me. I want them to sound like them. And so I'm like, you're going to take our core process and then you're going to make it your own. Keep the bold text if these are the things we want to say, but then make it your own. And then when you do that, it works a whole lot better, because then they're just being themselves instead of trying to be someone that they're not.
No, absolutely. And I'm a firm believer, like the formula really at the end of the day is everything you're talking about. It's like keeping it simple. It's like get great people. So it's the people, give them great processes, the process. And then the third P is help them find their greatest purpose that they never knew that they had. And if you got great people with a great process, with a great purpose that they're chasing, I think that's a winning formula. But I think going to your earlier story, how you got started was taking pain to purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing that purpose is a big part of the formula when it comes to success for most people. I'd be curious how you take your own individual team members and help them discover their purpose as that catalyst and that driver inside of your own agency to align your goals with their goals.
Sure. So you don't know if you don't ask.
Yep.
Right. So and with having a remote team, we want as much communication as possible. So every year and then every mid-year, because we have a mid-year mind shift meeting, and people change, people grow, they evolve. So I asked them, we have a motivational questionnaire, like, what do you want to achieve this year? What is your personal goal? What is that you want to share? What is your professional goal? What do you want with the company? Where do you want to go? Like if it's like, I don't expect them to work for me forever. If they're like, I want to be an agent, awesome. I am going to help you. So that means to me, they want a leadership role, right? And so then I will start, maybe make you a team lead, or like, I want you to run this sales meeting or this service meeting because you really, kick ass at this piece. And no one, someone in your own role, hearing it from someone who does what they do, like it just resonates better than someone that's, because every time I'm like, if you do this, this, and this, and then when my service manager says the same thing, they're like, yes. And I'm like, what's that the same? But it's because it's someone that's in that role with them, right? So
Absolutely.
That's what I do. Yeah.
No, I absolutely love that. And I think, when we did that in our business, that's where we saw the biggest shift, right? Because people don't have the same motivators as us. They at the end of the day, they don't care how many dials they make. They don't care how many quotes, and they don't care how much money we make us. But so many people make it about money. But if you make it about other people,
right,
then you won't have to worry about the money as a byproduct. And that's why, big mentor of mine, Zig Ziglar, he said, you help enough other people get to where they want to go in life. You help enough other people help get their goals in life. You'll never have to worry about your goals and your destination as a byproduct. And we try to do that same thing. Figure out, hey, what makes you tick? What are the things that are personally important to you? Maybe are you trying to get out of that cramped apartment and unsafe neighborhood for your family, right? Because that's important. That's important.
One of my sales producers, he's a young guy, 24, but he's super ambitious, and in the motivational questionnaire, I asked him, he was like, I want to, propose to my girlfriend. I want to buy a new truck. I want to buy a home. He's done all three of those things in the past year and a half. So that is amazing. And, and I feel like, oh my gosh, I have a small part in that, and that is his motivator and his driver. So when things are down and I'm like, dude, this business is a grind. You can get burnout, and you can get a lot of ugly people on the phone. Right. But you're like, just remember, go back to your why. And we talk about are you really that beat up? Walk it off, take a lap around the building, come back, refresh, reset. But we laugh because when I pull up to the office, I go into the office a couple times a week. But then I was like, whose car is that? And then I'm like, whose car is outside? I've seen it 5 of my people have got new cars.
Oh, that's awesome.
That says everything you need to. That means, and they're crushing it, and they're doing their goals because we are making it about them. We are asking them what they want. If they get what they want, you get what you want. It's a win-win situation.
Oh, absolutely. And it hits different when you're coaching them and you're saying and said, hey, why didn't you get your dials in today? Instead of that, it looks like, hey, what's going on today? Well, I'm not feeling it. I was up playing PS5 till 2 a.m. Or I'm not feeling it. I was up watching the football game today. Well, is it fair to little Jimmy or little Jane that's sitting at home still in that cramped apartment in that unsafe neighborhood that they got to wait another day, another week, another month? Because you're 8 hours here anyways, but you're not putting in your all, the best version of yourself during that 8-hour period.
Yeah. There's a difference in being a boss and being a leader. Anyone can have a title, right? Yeah. And to me, I feel like, you're going to get way further. And I know through experience, instead of just saying, go do this. And then being that person that's the stick, I'm a carrot type of person. You want the new house, you want the new car, you want, to get out of debt. Here's what's going to get you there. Here's your close ratio. Here's what you need to do. And on my service side, because, we're a sales organization, everyone has goals. So my service team, they have goals. It's not about just answering the phone with a smile and taking the payment. We're looking for opportunity. Where can we increase our retention? That is your job. Make them happy, keep them our customer. So but it goes further than just being nice. It's looking for the opportunity, talking to them with their family, getting to know them, what's important to them, hey, you have this risk and exposure, little Johnny, why don't you have this umbrella policy? He's already had, 2, tickets and speed, so everyone has those goals, and we just back them up with things that they want. And, it's going to go a lot further. So I would rather lead them in that direction than just be the boss. It's just I want to have that carrot, and I incentivize them really well. And I pay them really well because I knew that when I had some really crappy bosses, before, and I was like, if I'm on this side of the table, I'm going to do it different. I'm going to do it different because I'm going to show them and lead them and let them know I did this too. And I'm on your side and I have your back. And that goes a whole lot further.
No, I love that. I love that. And one of the things that you're saying earlier too, now that you got into the place where you're working on the business rather than in it, you're trying to solve problems for them, you're trying to bob and weave, block and tackle. What does that look like? We'll start on the marketing side of things. What does it look like? Okay, you got this great team. You've led this great team. You've coached and trained and developed this great team. You built this great culture. But now what you got to do, you got that perfect race car that's on the track. And you got to fill it up with the right level of octane, right? So what's that octane that you put into the tank for your team that allows them to continue to thrive, I guess, from a marketing perspective?
Sure. And I think a lot of people can get really good at one thing and then just focus on the one thing, but then they wonder why they are kind of stuck in that growth. They can't really get to the next level. They kind of plateau. But it's because you have like one or two faucets open, right? Yep. You need to diversify as much as possible. So, when it comes to marketing, we do it all. I'm going to actively, like I said, my service team, I incentivize them to look for cross-sell opportunities because I'm mining that book, right? I'm going after the customers that used to be with me because we know we get good service. You probably left over price. Prices change. We want you back. We're actively working those. A requote process, right? Coaching people I've learned, I'm like, what's your requote process? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you quoted them. You have all their information. What are you doing with it 6 months from now? Well, I don't know. I'm like, oh, okay, we got to have a requote process, right? Because you have that. They said you could call them again. You weren't competitive now, but you may be in 6 months or a year from now. So we really work that side, but then we also market, out there. We do mailers. Home mailers have been great for us. We do leads. I know there's a lot of concern around leads and what's happening with TCPA next year.
Yeah, I'd be curious your take on that too, like how you're adapting to TCPA, because I think that's on everybody's kind of hearts and mind right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just finished 3 conferences. So there was a lot of talk about TCPA. And I'm not, like I said, I diversify so that if one pipeline closes, I have plenty more. But there are some people that really lean heavy on leads. And so there's a lot of stress out there, like what's going to happen next year. Nobody has a crystal ball. But I feel like, the price is going to go up. I'm kind of already seeing it now with my lead vendors. I'm like, volume is not as good. Prices are coming up. I expect that to continue. That just makes sense that would. Now, quality hopefully will get better, right? Because you have the one-to-one now consent. But the name Eric Troutman, he spoke at Mega. Just got back from the Mega conference. And he, of course, scared everyone to death, but he was like, we're all like, oh God, no, what's going to happen? Like if you call anybody and like, oh, we're going to get sued. But whoever makes the dial, they're on the hook, right? Yep. But it's about working with good vendors, like backing it up. Let me see your process, like your consent, like that's going to be the biggest piece. Right. But for me, I'm kind of like, I'm not real sure if I want to continue to do that, because I don't want that extra stress, but how do I replace that? Right. Absolutely. So how do I replace that? Well, for me, super easy, social media, because everyone's in their phone all the time anyway. Right. That's what everyone's doing. They're sitting at a stoplight. They're sitting in a doctor's office, and you can advertise your business for freaking free.
Yep.
Like you can post on every social media for free. You don't have to pay anything, or you can pay and put ads out there. So I'm sitting here going, okay, I have thousands of leads, right? Thousands of leads that I may no longer be able to call after a 90-day period, or they're on DNC. What do I do with those? I can't call them. I can't email them. They might be on like do not mail, but there's nothing that says I can't be in their feed. Like, hello.
100%. And by the way, what you could do, you can even hire a data analytics company that could analyze all of your historical data in your CRM. Like I know, eBureau was one we used for that a while back, now owned by TransUnion, but they can literally take all the data points. You have 1 million leads in your CRM. Look at all the ones that you converted and look at the commonalities of all the data points of the conversions that you had to find out your best customer, your best lifetime value customer, and then extrapolate those data points across your database and say, hey, I might have 1 million leads in here, but what are my 10,000 best lifetime value potential customers? And then imagine extracting those and then putting them into a custom targeted audience campaign on Facebook, like you're talking about. And now, like, you're building relationships, because that's what you're doing. People don't buy products, they buy from other people that they know, like, and trust, that they have relationships with. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize is if you can get comfortable getting yourself in front of a camera, you can start building relationships with people in the digital world and get people that know, like, and trust you. So imagine if you had 10,000 of the perfect customer that are seeing you in the feed every day, learning to know, like, and trust you. And then all of a sudden something happens. I bought a new car, I got a new home, life happened to me, and I got to go do something when it comes to my insurance. Well, where are they going to go? The person that they know, like, and trust most.
The people who's that person in my feed all of the time that's giving me that good information on coverage, that's telling me ways to save without cutting coverage, that's showing, like, we do like funny memes, like I have a meme of like Pedro Pascal that got like, I don't know, like 2,000 views. And it was like him making like a face. And like I put a text over, it was like the face we make when we make, save someone $300 a month.
Oh yeah.
And then we got, our customers see that. So they're like, sweet, we're still doing good, like, okay. And then people that aren't our customers see that and go, well, maybe I should get a quote from them. Right.
Yep.
And to your point on, like, having a data analytic company, like, yes. So like I work with Lead Swami. They're amazing. Like Jay Reaver is awesome. And he does that for me. Like, he pulls all our data, our CRM. What are our best zip codes?
Yep.
Who are our best, what company are we crushing it with? And then we put our focus there. So like, as technology, like utilizing all of those things, and you have to pay for that, but it pays itself back 10 times.
Oh,
because we're targeting the right people. And then you can take that information and you can upload it and get all of these impressions, and they can see your content. And then, you can give them calls to action. Click here or fill out this web form. And then they're coming to you instead of you having to just hit that phone and getting that grind. Now you're like, oh, a lead just came in my CRM. Oh, another lead just came. Yep. We just started a new campaign last week. And so what's today? Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is because I've been to so many conferences. I'm like, is it Monday? No. But we started it on Monday, and I'm sitting in my conference and I'm going ding, ding. And I'm like, what's happening? We had 7 leads come in like a 4-hour period.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, and it was just from that campaign. So I'm like, use that. You have all those leads, like use those things and like upload it into social media and get that kickback. My dog wants outside. I knew this was going to happen.
Oh, you're good. You're good. No worries.
Luckily, I'm right by the door.
We're pro dog here at the Ask the Expert show. So
I know. Yeah. Andy's dog sitting in the background being good, not mine. I'm like, go to the bathroom before. Right. He's like knocking on the door.
And next week, we're going to have Brooke Brolo's dog on Ask the Expert.
She's famous too. I put her on social media because people love their dogs, right?
Oh,
we sell pet insurance, like,
yeah, like humanize yourself, right? Because that's what we are. And I think the more you can humanize yourself with other people and be relatable, and like just show that side of you, it goes a long way. But I think just so many people are just, again, it goes back to being uncomfortable. I guess what got you started? Like first getting the camera, because that can be a little bit intimidating out there. People are worried, what's everybody going to think of me? Am I going to look stupid? Or like whatever it might be. I don't know what to say in front of the camera. What do you got to say to people that haven't gotten started yet, that gives them maybe the confidence that later leads the confidence just to get started?
Yeah. So all the hesitation that I had, I mean, and then every time I ask someone like, what's holding you back? I get the same answers. So like you just said, I'm scared. I don't know what to talk about. What if no one likes it? And to me, I'm like, you just kind of get over it and put yourself out there. Be authentic, be you. We're in sales. You have friends, like you're a likable person. Are you going to appeal to everyone? No. And that is okay. And I don't want thousands and thousands or viral follow. Like I want people that like me, that get me, because like you said,
you got to attract your right tribe, right?
Yeah. Right. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So just be you, and that makes it easy. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be as authentic as possible. Like today I'm struggling. I'll talk about that. or today I'm like crushing it, and I'll talk about that, or like, here's how I can help. But I think the biggest thing is like, just bring value. Like, don't make it about you. This isn't for you.
Yep.
Like, it's for them. Like, what does your customer want to hear? What are their pain points? Like right now, like for me, like we're having a lot, like I'm in my 40s and all my friends are too. And our kids are starting to drive, right? We're freaking scared. Like,
Yeah.
what's the price going to do? And so I talk about that. Like, if you've got a young driver and you're freaking out like I am, and someone's going to relate to that. So
Yep.
just being relatable. And if you're just like, I can't do it, I just can't get on camera. Okay. You know what? You probably have someone in your agency that can highlight your team.
Yeah.
Show them your team, show them the great agency and the people that, they're going to be talking to. That's a way to go. A stagnant post, I mean, okay. But like, people just want to be relatable and feel heard and feel like they're not alone. So if you do those things, like you're going to go far.
No.
And if you're like, oh my gosh, I only got 100 views. How have you looked at what 100 people looks like? That's a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How are you ever going to get that type of, in front of the audience where you didn't have to go stand and physically speak in front of all those people, right? So,
Brooke, what would happen to your business today if you had to remove all social media? Like if you just shut down all your accounts today, no more social media, no more networking, what happens to you in your personal and professional life without that?
Well, I'd just be a lot more face-to-face. Like I said, I diversify everything. So this is not the end all be all. Like, I'm not going to go straight in, like social media is going to be my one thing. But I would be just more face-to-face, but people are busy. So I think this is why social media works so much, because like my COIs, like I still go have coffee with them, my lenders, my realtors, all of that. But I am busy and I have 2 kids and I run a business and they run a business and they're busy. But if you can connect on social media and you can help them with it, it's easier to keep that traction with them and stay top of mind, because that's mostly what it is being top of mind. So if I couldn't do social media, where am I going to be top of mind? Okay. Then I will be going back to the lunch and learns. I will be finding the time. But right now, like, utilize what you can to be more efficient. Right.
I love that perspective on it, that it's keeping you top of mind. People are busy, you're busy, and it's just keeping you in front of them all the time. So for you, it's not necessarily, oh, I've got to have a measured this number of leads. It's more of just a presence thing. It's a brand thing for you, right?
Right. Exactly. Just having that digital presence, just being where everyone is, because you can't be at all places at one time. But on social media, you can be there 24/7, like no days off. Like somebody's going to be scrolling and see something at 11 o'clock at night and be like, So, but yes, no, we have started doing, because at the beginning I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go out here and try to give good information and see what happens. And then I started getting a lot of people saying, hey, what's going on with your social media? And hey, this is cool. I didn't know you sold that. And oh my gosh, I meant to call you about that. And that was a good reminder, but now I'm like, again, process queen. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do to drive these people to my agency? Not just see me and like my videos, like that's cool. But what I want are you to come to me when you need insurance, and know that I'm going to take care of you, because I've been sitting here telling you what you need. And I'm always positioning myself as the expert, so that you will like, okay, I need to go to that girl because she knows what she's talking about. She knows how to save people money and not cut coverage. But my call to actions have things tied to them so that I can measure it. They come into my CRM so I can see like, okay, this posted really good. So now I'm going to make that a Facebook ad because it's already got traction and I know it's not going to flop, and that's going to reach more people, which are going to bring more people to me, and I can measure that.
Yeah, and if you're really looking to get uncomfortable, you're really looking to get comfortable getting uncomfortable fast, just look at my feed and look what I do and talk about religion and politics. It like escalates really, really quick. So
yeah, I stay away from all that.
And if I can do that and I'm still alive, nothing happened to me and I'm not dead, so like you can talk about it on social media and everybody's gonna love you. So I think one of the most empowering things that you can do is just accept, hey, just be your authentic self, and no, not everybody in life is gonna like you. But if you resonate with 70% of the people and you're like your tribe, your like frequency, that's what it's all about, right? Because not everybody jives with everybody and not everybody operates on the same frequency. And what you're trying to do is put the frequency out in the world that you're going to attract other like similar people on the same frequency. And then once you accept that, hey, even the ice cream man is hated by somebody.
Right.
if you can accept and come to terms with that, like somebody that you think everybody's beloved against, then hey, then anything can roll off your shoulders, and you can pick up a camera and get yourself on social media and find out it won't all be all that bad.
Right. I mean, and the first time you do it, like I think I spent, no joke, I mean, my husband was like, oh my God, because he could hear me upstairs. I was like doing the video over and over and like and then I was like, I'm freaking exhausted. I'm just posting it. And I was like,
our pets' heads are falling off.
I was like, this wasn't any better than the first one. My husband was like, good Lord, is this gonna? I was like, yeah, I can't, like, I'm gonna have to like just do it in one take. And if it's mess, like this is life. Life is messy. Like, sure. No one's perfect. Like, oh, my hair was out of place, or oh, I stumbled on my word. Who cares? Like,
my nose is shining.
Right. Powder puff. But like, and I was like, okay, I can't spend that much time on it. Like, just be you, just be authentic. You mess up, keep going. People will relate to that. I'm like, oh my God, me too. I did that too. So it's, yeah,
it makes you more relatable. Like you're human.
It does. It does. But then it gets easier. So like, that was my point. It's like, it will get easier because this was way out of my comfort zone. Like being on a podcast is out of my comfort zone. Speaking on stage at CWC was way out of but like I pushed myself. I asked my team to push themselves. I'm their leader. They see me push myself. And like,
now look at you. You're getting like super comfortable with it and you're a rock star at it.
Well, the more you do something, the easier it becomes, right? So your level of comfort expands. And so that helps a lot. So
I think it actually makes people like more comfortable with you as well. Like when I started posting content out, I'd have a conversation with a complete stranger, but they had been following content for years. And when I'd get on the phone, it was like we were old friends. And I realized, wow, like normally you have that stale business relationship and then it evolves into the friendship. But when you're putting yourself out there, like you get to start on that foot on a personal note with people, which I think is, a way more happy existence anyway, right? Is like actually building relationships with people.
Right. I mean, sometimes I'm like, is this our first time to ever meet in person? Because we had and I'm like, we should take a picture together. Like you're a real person, because like you forget, like you actually started this relationship online and you'd never met them in person. And then when you do see them in person, you're like, oh my gosh. And it's really like you're already friends. Like you already know each other, so it's
absolutely. No, this has been an absolute amazing show. It's been amazing having you on. You've just been dropping knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb that I know a lot of people are out there watching, listening. They're either watching the live, they're going to be watching the repeat and just heavily relating with you. But you're also a coach. So you learned a thing or two about a thing or two. You hired coaches. You knew the importance of mentorship. You hired your own mentors. And then you became one of those mentors for other people, working with countless agents, helping them get their agency right, helping them get their mind right to be able to emulate and replicate some of the things that you've been able to do, which are absolutely incredible. And I'd be curious, before we get into how people can work with you, because I want to give you the opportunity to talk about that too here at the very end, is what are maybe the top one or two things that you've seen commonality wise that maybe somebody's out there that doesn't have a coach? They don't have Brooke Brolo in their corner, right? They're in the ring like Rocky, but they don't have the coach in the corner like you. What are the common one or two things that you see almost on every coaching call as some of the biggest opportunities for people that start working for you, that some of the people in the audience could maybe start getting to work on today that would make their lives inherently better?
A lot of things I see when it comes to coaching is like they don't have like a support system, or they don't have, I would say like go collaborate with those agents that are doing bigger things than you. Like be the dumbest guy in the room. Is that I don't know. Like you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, right? You want to go put yourself in front of other people. So like first things first, whether you want to hire a coach or not, like go learn from people that are doing better than you. Get in those rooms, ask the questions. Like that would be my best piece of advice there. But like invest in yourself and your own growth, right? I do a ton of education, a ton of podcasts, a ton of reading, self-help books, like Mel Robbins, and like I have all of these, mentors, find yourself a mentor. Yep. And then if you want to be coached, but, and you can get a lot from social media, right? And reading books and I'm an Audible girl because like a book will put me to sleep, plus I multitask. So I have to do many things. But learning from there and then finding someone that you can relate with. Because when it comes to coach, it's not one size fits all. So like I would tell you to interview your coach like you would like interview for a date. Or like, am I going to get along with this person? Am I going to work with this person? Do we have the same goals? Are we aligned the same way? Like, what are your strong points? Like, because I always I have an intake form that I'm like, what do you want to get out of this?
Yep.
So ask yourself, what are you looking to get out of coaching? What do you want to achieve in the next year? What do all these different things look like? What does your current marketing look like? What does your current staffing look like? What do you want it to look like? Where do you want to go? And then, interview your coach or mentor on those things. And if they have, that capacity or they have those strong suits, because I'll tell people straight up, when they come to me, if they're looking for something that I'm like, I'm not that good at, I can really crush in these areas.
Yep.
You would be better suited somewhere else. Like, I'm going to be honest with them. I'm never going to sell them on something that I can't help them with. So just, I would tell you, interview your people, ask the questions, like have it lined out where you want to go, what you want to do. And then, ask them like, hey, what do you do for people that need help with marketing? What do you do? Like, what kind of processes do you have in place? Like, what is your, how do you hire? How do you train people? How do you hold people accountable? Ask all those questions.
No, I love that. I love that. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. You just gave everybody a wealth of knowledge. And what I wanted to do now is give you an opportunity. How do people get to know you? How do people follow you? And then most importantly, how do some of the people that are resignated, maybe in the place that you used to be all the way back when you started your agency the first time, that could use some of your help, how can they even work with you?
Yeah. So you can find me on all the social media platforms. I use mine on Instagram. It's B Brolo, BBROLO. And then everything else, it's Brooke Brolo. So there's not that many Brooke Brolos out there. So I'm pretty easy to find. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can also email me at brooke@craigwigginscoaching.com. I don't know if I should throw my phone number out there or not. Like, you can text me, like, I don't care, like 501-960-6343. Like, I'm always open to giving people free advice. I'm like, if we need a coaching thing, we need a coach. But I know people struggle and they don't have someone to talk to. And so I am always taking phone calls from people that, that just need, sometimes it's just need that encouragement, or they're like, they're like, I think I want to do this, but they need that person to like pull the damn trigger. Yes. Like, sometimes they just need that like nod of like, you're on the right path. Right. So I'm happy to do that. I love helping.
No, well, I absolutely love that. And thank you for just spending your time. Thank you for being the servant you are. Everything I hear from you, you're a servant to your team, you're a servant to your peers, and you've been a servant to everybody in our insurance syndicate community. So that we thank you for, and everybody that's watching, I'll speak on their behalf and thank you as well. Thank you for being on the show today on another incredible episode of Ask the Experts, where next week, tune in the same Facebook group, the same channel, and the same chime, where we're going to bring another expert to you live. Let's go.